the latest episode of the Ugly Truth. Today, I recap my birthday dinner with producer Dub. We talk a little bit about what's going on with the graduation and senior balls this year. And also, I have an experience with the animals around my neighborhood. All of this, plus some Ugly and Awkward Moments of the week. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie?
I'm going to shit my pants.
Paula?
Unleash the Kraken!
Uncensored as always, it's time for the Ugly Truth.
Welcome to the Ugly Truth. This is episode 467. All right, really quick, I just wanted to touch on this because we have so much we want to talk about today, but this is the time when anybody who was graduating this year would be graduating, and then senior balls would be happening this week. And I try really hard to understand what these parents and these kids are going through. I can only imagine how devastating it must have been to know that they weren't going to get to go to senior ball. Like, to me, that was just probably the biggest devastation of them all. Especially for girls, because the money and the hair and the whole, you know, the rituals of getting prepared and ready for the final dance of your high school career, and it's over. And you didn't even get a choice. Like, no say whatsoever.
I'm surprised someone is not having like a speakeasy version prom, like in their big backyard or something.
I mean, I'm sure that happened, and obviously no one's saying anything, but it was so sweet to see all of these parents who were so nice to get their girls corsages, and they got to wear their formal dress, and they took them to, like, I have a friend who took her daughter and her date to the state capitol and did a full photo shoot. And so they literally did everything except for the actual dance. And of course, you know, I mean, there are some places you can go to dinner now, but back, you know, maybe a week ago you couldn't. And so I absolutely loved it. I would have done the same thing for my kids. And it was just such a sweet thing, I thought. And all the dads involved were so cute, you know, helping their daughters get their little corsages on and stuff.
Oh, that's sweet.
I just loved it. I thought, yeah, that would definitely do that. And then the other thing is that, you know, a lot of collegiate students are graduating, and there's no big pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, that's
Nothing.
a big deal.
To me, it is. I had a friend who's, I think it was her son graduated from university. I don't remember where. It was in the East Coast. And so she had where extended family and friends who were going to attend the graduation, they did a drive-by parade. But what they did is they pulled over and they created like this crowd, like this huge social distanced crowd. And he came out in his cap and gown and walked the walk on his sidewalk like he was graduating and walking across the stage. And I said, that is elaborate and adorable. I loved it. But I
think about like everyone who is supposed to be like valedictorian or valedictorian and give their speeches, and
you prepare all year for that.
Or like the high schoolers who, you know, they announce what colleges they got accepted to. And, you know,
so true.
The only thing I probably wouldn't miss is like the freaking senior ball queen and king and bullshit and all that stuff. I'm just like, fuck it. But, you know, there's some like, you know, high school skank. It's just like, this was my time.
Yeah, it was my year, damn it. And then nobody gets it. Or if you do, they send it to you in the mail, you know.
I'm the Rhoda.
Oh, God. Anyway, but hey, think of all the pregnancies that were prevented. No prom night babies,
true,
you know,
true.
So there's that, you know, that's
I'm a little disappointed because Ryan was graduating 8th grade this year. I know it's not a big deal, but they were going to do like a little processional and, you know, move him up to 9th grade. I was looking forward to it. It was supposed to be the first big, you know.
Of course. It's a
thing.
big, it's like, with 8th grade, it's more of a goodbye to your childhood, welcome to young adulthood. Now you're 4 years away from becoming, you know, a member of society. So there is that cool transition. I mean, even when we were in junior high, they did the promotion ceremony for 8th graders. Mm-hmm. I personally don't remember our parents attending. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I don't think so, though.
Well, you know, when I got the newsletter, they said it started at 8, and I'm like, what the fuck? And they said, you know, doors open at 7, and I'm just like, are they kidding me? Well, they were trying to get it done before school actually started, and I'm just like, God, I'm like, why can't we just do this shit in the evening? I'm like, who gets up at that hour?
People who work.
Even when I worked, Jamie, I was not.
You'd be sliding into your desk at 8:35. Yeah.
No, I was an 8:10 person.
Yeah, you needed that 10-minute window.
But the other thing is they were going to do they were going to go to Sunsplash, and then they were going to have their little 8th grade grad party where they were going to dance and have the game truck, and it's just like the time where some of the kids are going to split off and go to the different high schools because not all of them are going to the same. So if there was a girl that they liked, then it was going to go to a different high school.
This was your chance, man.
This was their chance to touch her or something,
profess their love and never see them again.
Dance with slow dance. I think they were going to play slow songs at this dance. Of course
they were.
So the first time to touch a girl's body, and
and then they'll never forget it. It'll literally be imprinted on their brain for the rest of their lives.
And then the girl will be done and then go to the bathroom and wash her hands.
She'll be like,
gross.
He was so sweaty, guys.
God, his hands were just, it was like COVID.
They're like dirty and slimy. What is it with boys at that age where when you touch their hands, not only are they dry, but they're also wet? Like, how do they do that? It's so strange.
And they feel kind of rough, like calluses. And
it's so strange.
And their fingers always look kind of like deformed. Like every knuckle, there's a new bulge of finger.
They have like nubbin hands, but they're big mitts.
They look dirty, and they look like they've been playing basketball for 15 years. And
it's so weird. It's like, what are you working on the railroad? What happened to you?
Their nails are all kind of like uneven and
gnarled.
Peeled, and you're just like,
yes.
But their little warm hand around your waist is just like, oh.
I mean, they do exude a lot of heat at that age.
Well, they're just like pheromone. I heard this on a radio station once. He's just like, my son, he's 16 and he's just full of pheromones. He says, I saw him running down the football field, and he's just like, I wish we could bottle that stuff. We could call it running buck.
It's so true.
He says that's pure unadulterated pheromone right there.
Man, there's a lot of men over the age of 40 who'd be happy to glug that shit down.
Or spray it, or
anything.
I rub it. I don't know, but instead of taking 2 blue pills, I'd go with the running buck.
Once the balls start to sag, they'll literally chop something off to get that back.
Oh, come on, that's just heat. Haven't you ever seen a man that's really hot laying on the bed, and it's just like 110 degrees outside, and it's just like their balls are like,
they're depressed.
They're the length of a ruler.
They're just
like, Jesus Christ, put some ice on those things.
My testicles are just depressed.
They're like running away from your body because it's so hot.
Oh. So as far as the graduating class of 2020, my advice to you is to milk this shit for all it's worth. And when you become a mother or a father, if you so choose, you can tell your children until the day you die, you think you got it rough? I lived through a fucking pandemic, bitches.
I know.
Don't give me any shit about how hard your life is for the rest of your life. That is such a silver lining you don't even know. You can put it on every resume. You can put it on every college application for the rest of your life. It's brilliant. There will be a sense of empathy for you wherever you go, no matter what you do, even if you end up in prison. They'll be like, well, he did live through the pandemic,
Just, do you know what every college entrance exam is going to be about this year?
My life as a pandemic survivor.
In fact, every baby that's going to be born in the next 9 months, it's going to be the COVID generation.
Oh, for real?
The coronavirus generation. I shit you not. That's what this generation will be called, the coronavirus generation.
We have Gen Z, and then the next generation will be these babies that are born, and they will be Gen C. Because that's
there was Gen Y, and then
so we're going to start over again, but we'll go with the C.
I feel okay. So I have to tell you a quick story.
What?
I told Ryan a long time ago, and I just don't say these things to your kids,
okay?
Unless you're positive at the time.
Oh,
that you should say it will happen. You actually have the money to do these things.
Oh no!
I told Ryan like 6 months ago that if he ended his 8th grade year with all A's and B's, I would give him $200.
Oh, he's
but this was at a time though when his grades were just in the trash.
Like he was never going to do it in your mind.
Not that I believed. And so he came in the kitchen the other day and he slammed the refrigerator door shut. And I'm like, what's the matter, son? And he just kind of looked at me and he had his mouth kind of like a little jar open and his eyes were just kind of staring at me. And I'm like, what?
What?
And he's just like, he's like, I guess I forgot to turn in something in social science. And I'm just like, okay. And his eyes started to get a little glassy. And so I went into the kitchen and I'm like, son, what's the matter? And I touched his face and I could see a little tear like coming into his eye. And I'm like, Ryan.
He's devastated.
And he's like, I have a C- now. So I was but he had all A's and B's in the rest of the classes. And he's just like, and I'm like, oh. And I'm like, well, there's still time. He's like, Mom, there's 2 weeks left. Okay. And I'm just like, and I'm just like, well, I'm like, I've seen you pull out grades much, much faster.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And he's just like, there's only so many assignments left, Mom. And so I'm just like, well, I'm like, well, how about this? I'm like, how about we just alter the agreement? He's like, no. He's like, the agreement was the agreement.
Oh,
and so I'm like, well, I said, maybe I'll take a look at it. And maybe what I'll do is I'll assess, you know, every A and B, you know, and divide it by the money. And if I have to take a little off for the C-, then I will.
Was he acceptable to that agreement?
He kind of just like looked the other way, like as the little tear was like in his ear and in his eye, and I was wiping it away. And I'm just like, I said, it's not a big deal, Ryan. I said, I'm very proud of you for all the rest of the A's and the B's. I said, I'm like, I don't think a C- is going to ruin your life.
It won't.
So he's like, all right, I guess we can just look at it. So he was so damn hard on himself.
Well, I mean, I hope that continues, but also tell him, it's like, by the way, this contract expires June 1st. We are not renewing this contract for high school.
Yeah, really.
Jesus, I'll owe you. It's like $3,000 by the time you graduate.
I always joke, though, that Ryan's like my Opus Dei Catholic, that, you know, he's the one that puts the little chalice on his thigh and whips himself in the back with because he's the one that clears out his room to where it basically looks like a nun's barracks, you know, when he gets in trouble.
Take everything. I deserve nothing but life. I deserve
everything. Ryan, you don't even have sheets on your bed. I can sleep without them. I don't need to be warm.
I should be suffering for my sins.
I should be freezing.
God, this is all I deserve. I'm pathetic.
I don't even know where he gets that.
I don't either.
No one's ever made him be that way.
So
I'm just
weird.
like, what books are you reading? Where are these?
No kidding. Stop reading the Scarlet Letter, Ryan. Jesus. Pick another book.
Did one of your friends take you to a Catholic store or something? Did you pick up something there?
Did you go to Mass? What's happening?
I know, right? Are you taking catechism classes? I just, concerned.
Come into a room. Ryan, I was in your room putting your lingerie away. What are these? Those are my rosary beads. It's like, come on.
I saw in the corner of your room there was a
very large crucifix.
A Mother Mary with 2 large Mexican candles.
What are we doing? What's happening?
You told me to embrace my heritage. Not that way.
Eat a taco, son.
Eat some fucking refried beans.
Jesus. Learn to make a tortilla. That's what I'm saying. Embrace Selena. Jesus. That's it. Okay, so change. So we, in California, where you and I live, there's been some really weird weather for the last few days.
Yes.
It started raining like on Friday or Saturday, but it's like super bright and sunny and warm, and then 5 minutes later, thunderstorms. Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah, I was sitting in my couch, and there was a puddle from the previous rain, but it was like sunny outside, and the next thing I know, I look out there, and it's all ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
And I saw these drips. I'm like, what the hell?
I know, it's so weird. So that's happening, and then earlier this week, Daryl and I were converting this one side of the house. We're trying to slowly go around the entire yard, and we're re-landscaping and redoing some stuff in the backyard because we have a lot of time, and the backyard's kind of a forest of mess. And so we've created this little area for gardening, and so we're just digging up shit. Daryl's fixing sprinklers. I mean, it's just been this ongoing thing. So we're disturbing things that have been left alone for a really long time.
Uh-oh. What are you finding?
Well, there's nothing underground. We've fixed all that, but it's raining. And I turn and I look out to the side to the deck because the dogs are in. And I shit you not, there were 4 mice on my deck looking for dog food. Ah! So and here's the thing, I'm not afraid of snakes. I'm not afraid of that stuff, but I saw mice. And I think the reason I'm so afraid of them, first of all, everyone's afraid of mice. It's so strange. They're filthy creatures. They carry all kinds of illness. And so I see these little mice, and I thought it was a rat at first, but they're not. They're mice. And I look, and they're on my table where we eat outside, plus they're running around on the deck. And I'm like, what the fuck? And Daryl's like, what's the matter? I go, there's he's like, what? And I'm like, multiple rodents on the deck, and they are not at all concerned with my presence. They see me looking through the window and they're just like, huh. And they keep looking for dog food because we had put the dog food up because it was raining. So Daryl goes out there with a broom.
Well, what's he going to do? Sweep them away?
Well, in the old days, people would get brooms and like try to hit them and make them leave.
I get the freaking hose and spray them off the deck.
Oh my God. And so, but they're quick and they're speedy. And the problem is that our dogs are in the house. And so I opened the door.
Unleash the Kraken!
I did. So before I could do that, they all took off and they ran behind the shed by our little koi pond.
Oh no.
Now we've had problems with mice for a couple of years.
You know what? That's probably their nest.
We have successfully eradicated them from the shed completely. We have mouse-proofed that shit.
That's what you think.
They come and go, but the problem is this. We've had this problem before. Every year, a hawk comes and lays her eggs in one of the trees above our yard. And the baby hawks learn to fly. And they're not on our property. I should preface. They're somewhere else, but because of that, because of where they are when they're learning to hunt, all the critters move somewhere else. This is the second year they've moved into our yard. We've had snakes, we've had small skunks, possums, raccoons, mice, rats, everything. They all go to safety. So
like fucking animal kingdom at your house.
Oh my God, you have no idea. Well, you do know. You know. You've cleaned up skunk anus in my house. You know exactly what it is.
I've cleaned up a skunk, but I mean, I've never seen all that other shit.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
I'm surprised freaking Jack Hanna has like, so this is Jack Hanna. We're reporting live from
it's like the Bermuda Triangle of creatures.
The Meyer home.
Oh God, it's like the center of it all.
Today we'll be covering small vermin.
They ran away, and I went, okay, they ran away. So I start watching a show, and I turn and look, and they're back. And I said, okay, this is unacceptable.
What were they doing? Were they staring in the window?
One was. The other two had scurried up the table, and he was like the lookout. And so I opened up the door. I'm like, Bodega, go get him. And I open the door, and Bodega goes running out like a freak, and he's chasing them off. Sasha traps one under the smoker, and she's sticking her snout under there trying to get it. And it found a way, and it took off, and she's still young and dumb, so she didn't see it take off. But she was under there. They had those things cornered for about a minute, and then they found their escape route and got out. And, honestly, if Sonny wasn't toothless and blind, he would have killed all of them. Like, it would be over. Because he's the one. And for the
Did he try or no?
Yes, for the last 3 days, that dog has been behind the shed, screaming his head off, trying to get them.
Come out, you motherfuckers!
Oh my God, he's had enough. He's like, I'm going to take my one good tooth and I'm going to stab you with it. And I'm going to eat you.
I will impale you on this.
He's like, do you see this? Do you see this tooth? He is such a good dog. I swear. I'll be so sad when he dies because he's the best. Anyway, I did appreciate that Sasha, the young puppy, she has got the instinct. She's got it at a young age. So that's nice to know.
Yeah, no, she's not like Bodega. I mean, Bodega was a killer from birth.
Oh my God, that dog. So we left him out. I'm like, I don't care if those dogs are soaking wet. I want no more mice on my deck. None.
Well, why don't you place traps?
Daryl ran to Home Depot. And okay, so here's what's funny. He's doing all of his research, right? And he goes, okay, we definitely need some mouse traps. I'm like, yeah. Well, now they have really sophisticated ones where they go in and they get electrocuted and die right away. And so
I was just thinking you could get like the rehoming traps, but
I'm not rehoming field mice. No, they'll come back.
Rehome them to a field.
I am in a field. They'll just come back. There's more, I'm sure.
Take them down to the river or something.
Anyway, no. So
okay. Well, if you want to, why don't you put them in a bag of water and freeze them? I hear that's much more humane.
You're such an asshole.
Then let them thaw in their grave.
Hey, I still have nightmares about that. You know the animal kingdom is. They can rejuvenate. I don't know how that happens, but anyway.
Well, there has been thunder and lightning storms. It might be, it's alive! It's alive!
And Paula, his coffin lid is aluminum foil, so anything's possible.
God.
Anyway.
You forgot to hook up the doll.
So Daryl goes, hey, they have mouse traps where you can actually have Wi-Fi so that you will get a notification when a mouse gets killed.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I said, are you getting one of those? He goes, no, they're $50. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, but leave it to Daryl to find something like that, Mr. Technology.
Instantly.
Yes, I love technology, but I love you and me. He's like, I'm going to start calling him Kip.
So I said, all right, fine. So he goes to Home Depot. He buys several of these electrocuting traps and he puts them under the deck and one behind the shed. And when a mouse is killed, the light goes green, and that's how you know there's a dead mouse in it. And then you can, all you basically do is you open this little shaft and it dumps the mouse into the garbage can and you don't have to do anything. And so, of course...
But, I mean, can you see it to know that it's in there?
It's in a little... It's like... They look like little black coffins. And if they go in, they are electrocuted immediately. And then you just open the thing back up and you reset it. And that's the end of it.
But what if you, like, electrocuted a bug or something?
Well, no. It's conducive to mice. It's a weight thing. So it's not going to do that. So anyway... So, of course, not one fucking mouse has been in those things. And it's been 2
I'd have
days.
to look. I'd look in the garbage, be like, is it really a mouse?
He brought one in today and it was sitting on the counter. And I'm like, why is this in my kitchen? And he said, oh, well, the dogs had smelled it and they dug it out and it was full of dirt. And I said, are you sure it wasn't a mouse? You know, like he figured it out. And he's like, no. The dogs had dug a big hole under the deck because they probably heard the mice. And so I said, so maybe the dogs are keeping the mice from coming, you know, and getting killed. And I'm like, well, I don't care about that. That's fine. But I mean, we can't have these mice. So anyway,
well, why would you just place that on the counter? That's gross.
It hadn't touched anything, but it really freaked me out.
It doesn't matter. It's just a thought. It's just
I agree.
You know, even if it's a brand new pair of shoes, you don't put them on the counter. Like, well, I mean, maybe like lady shoes, but a man's shoes, that's just gross. Like flip-flops? Gross.
I mean, do you eat a steak sitting on the toilet? No, you don't do this.
Okay, I don't see the parallel here, but
it's dirty. It's just not appropriate is all I'm saying. All right. So that's the mouse situation. There's clearly at least 3 mice living under my shed. I don't know how to get them out, and I'm just disgusted by the whole thing.
Shoot them.
I just want them to die. All right. Really quick recap because I didn't get to tell you about it. I had celebrated my birthday on Friday. I told you about the terrible card. And Daryl, of course, was just like blown away by our murder trial last week.
Oh my God. I thought he would have been used to it, but I did think it may have crossed a small line where he may have just been a little astonished at
the
depths of evilness that we have.
The level of detail was very interesting to him, but he said he laughed so hard he cried. He thought it was so funny. Yeah, I
thought he may have had like his mouth open like
but he did. So he edited the show and he's like, it was very, very funny. And I said, I'm glad you liked it. And he said, I really want to reiterate that card was meant to be a joke. And I said,
there's no saving it now. It's out there.
And I said, listen, I don't know what went through your little man brain that thought this was hysterical, but it wasn't. And he goes, I want you to destroy the card. And I said, yeah, I heard you the 3rd time when you said it, but I just really don't get. I never understood the humor of it, so you were going to pay, and you did, so it's fine. And I go, and you're getting a birthday, you're going to have a birthday too, so look forward to this being a 1-up until we die.
Maybe your 60th birthday we'll have at a mortuary.
I told him that. I said, be prepared for when you turn 60. It's like game on now. Like it's over.
We'll have to think of like the most like.
I'm buying him a grave.
Is that what you're going to do? You're going to buy him like I'm going to buy him last rites kind of thing.
I'm going to have a priest come over and give him last rites.
You know what? You should have a stripper priest come over and give him his last rites.
Male,
but have it be like an old lady.
I'm going to have it be a man.
No, you should get like an old lady stripper and be like, this is what you get now when you're 60.
Yeah. Anyway, so Friday, as I had told you, he had made some arrangements to essentially have the French cafe that our daughter works at completely to ourselves. And the owner of the place he's a classically trained French chef, pastry chef. And then, of course, our daughter is mentoring under him. And it's been a wonderful experience. He's an amazing man. And so he was happy to oblige. So we show up at 6:30, and of course Daryl's like, let's just dress up a little bit. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course, because we're like legit going out for dinner, and it's been, I mean, months and months. So we're really excited. So I'm walking towards, and they have the door open, to welcome us in, because they're going to treat us as formal as possible. They're going all out because back in France, this guy owned his own cafe, and it was a bistro. So he knows what, he's like, he was so excited to like redo it all.
That is so sweet. How exciting.
It was exciting. So I'm walking towards Kenzie and her boss, and he whispers something to Mackenzie, and she's like, shut up, like that. So later I said, what did he say? He goes, your mom's going to get laid tonight. And so.
Oh, you must have looked pretty.
That was nice. And so we walked in, and I was able to wear heels. It was so nice.
I thought you were going to tell me you tripped on the way in or something.
I did not trip, but I will say, I told Daryl, I said, it's been so long since I've been actually able to wear a set of heels that I almost forgot how to walk in them, because it's been so long since I've had to wear something nice. So we walk in, and they have in the corner, we have this little table with candlelight and a bucket with ice for champagne, and there's music playing, and it's so romantic.
I bet you get real champagne because he's French.
Yes, and we brought our own as well. And so they had blacked out the windows so nobody could see, because at 6:30 it's still really light outside because summer. So we sit down. He spoke exclusively French to us.
Oh,
and so
God, French is such a sexy language to
yes, me. And Mackenzie understands him, so they can speak, and she knows.
Oh, that's right. She took French too.
She's fluent. Yeah, she's fairly fluent, and so she was mainly serving us, but we had like a 4 or 5 course meal, and it was amazing. We had escargot and pastry. Literally the best escargot I've ever had in my life. And I've had escargot. I know, but you would never even know it. It wasn't slimy. It wasn't snotty. It was baked in pastry with a white wine sauce.
Is it salty?
No, it was delicious. It was so delicious.
So it's like savory then.
Oh, God, it was so good. You would never know it was snail. You would never know. It was just some beautiful, beefy deliciousness.
Okay.
And then we had a duck salad, which was Mackenzie's invention, and it was delicious. So good. And then we had, it was steak pommes basically, which is just steak with potatoes. And then we had the most amazing desserts that they created just for us. And one was even a flambe at the end.
Oh, how fun.
It was so beautiful, and we had such a good time, and we had way too much alcohol. Way too much alcohol. We went through 2 bottles of champagne and almost a whole bottle of wine.
Oh, my God.
Afterwards, we walked around because we were so hammered. And what was really great is Mackenzie and her boss, they actually finished up and gave us the key and just said, lock up when you're done. Don't touch anything. We'll clean up when we get home, because they're coming back at like 3:30 in the morning. And so they said, just lock us up and blow out the candles. Please blow out the candles. They said that 3 times.
Right.
And then that was it. And so we had this really long, beautiful meal. We talked about all kinds of stuff. Daryl and I talked about when we're going to France. He's been working with a travel agent, so that was kind of the gift, which was wonderful. It was just a really great night to be out. And I didn't know if I would enjoy it, because I've been seeing Daryl's face so frequently, like everybody else. But it was a completely different thing, because we were somewhere else, and it is something that we just love to do. So it was just an amazing evening. And of course, very little sex occurred. We had so much alcohol.
Right.
So much. So we left, and I'm like, I'm not ready to go home yet, because I was getting the spins. So we actually went Pokemon hunting.
You guys are dumb.
I know. So then we finally make our way home, and Daryl's like, hey, let's have a cocktail. I'm like, oh my God, no.
You're like, I'll have a glass of water. Thanks.
Right. So he made these whiskey cocktails, and apparently he drank his. I did not drink mine. And we end up in bed by like around 12:30, 1 a.m. And he's trying to pull the move. And I'm like, look, I said, I'm willing to do it, but nothing's going to happen on my end. No orgasms are happening.
I'm going to lay on my stomach and put my butt in the air. That's about as well as you're going to get.
Yeah.
And if you hear snoring, just ignore it. Keep going.
And I told him that. And he's like, well, I don't want to if you're not going to. I'm like, well, then this evening has come to an end. And he's like, okay.
It's your choice. Spit on it and go, or just leave me alone.
Exactly. So we passed out. I wake up at like 8:30 and I feel like dog shit.
Of course you do.
So bad.
You didn't even drink water at all?
Nothing. I passed out. We just passed out. I know. I felt terrible. So finally, after 2 Gatorades and like 4 glasses of water, I started to feel human. But we were not our right selves for almost 2 days.
Oh,
it was a shit ton of. It was way too much alcohol. I had never, and I was.
Do you think it was the combination of wine and champagne?
It was just too much champagne. We had way too much champagne, and I can get a headache if I drink too much champagne anyway. But we had way too much, and I said, "Why didn't we just stop at the 1 bottle? Like, why? What was the point of that?" He's like,
"Because
I don't
you
know.
love champagne."
Well, that, and I also just, you don't even realize how much time is going and what you're doing when you're eating. And the food was so incredibly rich that you needed the clean taste of champagne and water and stuff. So
did they replace the bottle without you even noticing?
Daryl went and got another bottle.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes, like, if you have a good wait staff, they'll replace your stuff without you even paying attention. I had that happen to me one time. And I was just like, oh, I'm like, I didn't even notice I had another glass. And then you feel guilty if you don't drink it. So
you glug it down.
Yeah. And then like 3 glasses later, you're like, okay, how do I make them stop? Like, what do I do? Put a napkin over it or something?
Yes.
I don't want another one.
You literally have to put your napkin over the glass.
Hide the glass. Put it under the table.
Mackenzie was a delight. She was so nervous that we weren't going to like stuff.
Aw, poor thing.
And Daryl was the same way. He's like, I just know this isn't what we planned, and da-da-da. And I said, first of all, you can't one-up me on the gift-giving department, and it's fine. This was an amazing opportunity. This was an amazing thing to do, considering the parameters. Nothing's open. You couldn't even get takeout at the nicest restaurant in the state if you wanted to right now. It's just really impossible because the fancy restaurants are closed. So it's like we would have paid $400 for this meal anywhere else. It was so amazing. And they didn't charge him for the rental of the place. Nothing.
That's really cool.
Right. Yeah, it's a very, very cool thing. And I'm really, and Daryl was like, I just hope you like this. I hope you like this. I'm like, okay, I'm getting mad at you now. I like it. Okay, I love it. He's like, you know how that is. You know how guys get really insecure when they're not sure.
Well, it's because it was never done before.
No, exactly. And, he very rarely goes off the tried and true.
Yeah.
Like he knows what will definitely hit it out of the park for me because he knows me. And this was not something I've never mentioned anything like this before. So he was really worried. And I said, no, this is brilliant. I absolutely loved it. And I'm so glad we did it.
But that's how you learn.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you guys have been together as long as you two have, I mean, you've got to try new things. Otherwise, you'll just get bored, I think.
I think what it is, too, is that I'm always the one that gets us to try new things. And he's always so excited and glad that he agreed to do it because it always ends up being so amazing. And so for him to be the one to decide to try something new, I think he was really nervous.
Right.
But it was amazing. And he did it. He 100% A+. I would give him $200 for his report card. It was really good. And I did get a nice card, actually, because I was giving him some shit there. He's like, well, here's the nice one. And he gave me a nice card. And it was very sweet. So we get home at like 12:30 in the morning or something. Walk in the door, and my house is full of flowers. Full of flowers.
So yeah, I saw those flowers. I guess they came late then, huh?
Well, here's what was funny. Well, the biggest one was from you, which I was absolutely shocked. I had no idea that you were going to send me anything. They were so beautiful, but I walk in and I smell flowers. I'm like, oh my God. And so no one was home. That's what I couldn't figure out. It's like, how did these get in here? So I looked at the security camera and one showed up at 6:40 and the other one showed up at 6:45. It was insane, just like that. And so I had just missed it. They're beautiful, huge bouquet of roses and fill and greenery and all of that stuff. And then Daryl's father sent me a bouquet with a balloon. Aww. And I was like, what? I had no concept of this. And because you know how I am, I tell nobody. I don't celebrate my birthday. I don't want the accolades, whatever.
Right.
So it was wonderful. And then I had a lot of people reach out to me via text, phone call, everything. Your friend Tracy, or I guess she's kind of my friend too now, but she's just like, I'm not going to tell anybody it's your birthday today, but I hope you have a great birthday today.
Well, I was getting worried because they said they would text me when the flowers were delivered. And like by 5 o'clock, I'm just like, seriously, I'm like, how long is it going to, because I mean, usually deliver them by 1 or 2, you know?
Right.
And I'm just like, how freaking long is it going to take to get these damn flowers? And so finally, I got a notification saying they were delivered. And so I was just like, finally, God.
Well, it's stressful.
Freaking forever. But I they just must have had a lot of deliveries, or because it was a Friday. I don't know.
But anyway, it all worked out and everything was beautiful. Everybody was so sweet. And I would just thank you for everybody who did that. It was really nice because I don't do that. So thank you for that. All right, moving on. A couple of things. Frank Bellick from Trading Spaces died.
I know.
He was only 72, which in this world is kind of young to me.
Yeah, it is.
He had a heart attack. And that was that.
Yeah. Well, he had a heart attack, I guess, and then he died the next day. So
that's sad.
I don't know the condition, but I mean, it doesn't terribly surprise me. I mean, he wasn't the epitome of health, I guess you would say. He was a little chunky.
That
was really sad, but he was probably one of my favorite. Him and Vern Yip were probably my favorites.
Frank and Vern are the best. They were the best. They had Frank did some really oddball shit. Like one time I remember he painted a cement floor looking like bricks in a garage. They were renovating this garage for this woman. She had a real love for Shakespeare. And
okay.
They did this whole renovation. It was like her room. And it had a concrete floor, so he literally had somebody hand paint cobblestone on the floor, and then they shellacked it. And I went, you know what? That is just so ugly. I just don't know what's happening right now. And he made it look like a little forest. I don't know. But I mean, other than that, he did have some good ideas, though, for sure. Also, Fred Willard died, which everybody knows who he is. And I was trying to think about, he was an Anchorman. He was the manager in Anchorman.
Yes.
He's like, God, that woman is terrifying.
Ryan said something about Modern Family.
He was Phil Dunphy's dad in Modern Family.
Okay.
And when the show ended, the series ended, he had one final scene, and he died in the show. And so now when he was filming, he does not look well. He was very, very thin. And so I'm like, oh, there's something going on with Fred Willard. But you just never know, because this was filmed, a year ago. And now, of course, we know he had Parkinson's, and so he passed away. But anyway, he was in that. And then he was in one of my favorite movies of all time, Best in Show.
I loved that movie. What role did he play, though?
He was the color commentator for the show.
You know what? I think he was a commentator. I'm not positive. I think he was also a commentator in Dodgeball with Jason Bateman.
I do believe you're correct. He was also in The Wedding Planner with Jennifer Lopez. He was the dance instructor.
Really?
He's done many things that are better than that, but I'm just saying those are the three things that came to mind to me immediately. But Best in Show to me is my favorite of his.
Did they say why, or was he just old?
He had Parkinson's.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
He had Parkinson's, but he still was acting until 2020, huh?
Parkinson's in it of itself is not terminal, but it affects your body, and then ultimately you start experiencing organ shutdown. So that, because you can't eat, the muscles start to atrophy.
Right. So it may not affect necessarily the key parts of the brain, just certain parts of the brain.
Exactly. All right, let's do some Ugly and Awkward Moments of the week. Poo edition.
Oh.
I thought this was funny.
I like poo.
I know you do. That's why it made me laugh. These are embarrassing, awkward moments that have happened when people have fecal problems. I was taking a shower, and this is one of those showers where
God. Please don't tell me someone pooped in the shower. I can't handle that story again.
It's a tub. They're in the tub. No. I was taking a shower. As I was standing in the tub drying off, I felt a dull tingle in my nose. I must have paid too much attention to that and sneezed really hard. I didn't know I needed to fart, let alone poo. I sneezed so hard, I shit all over the shower wall. Worst part, I was having a serious discussion with my wife when the now infamous shower shitting incident occurred. Now, every time I get in the shower, she warns me not to paint the walls.
Okay, I was going to say, there's no way. I'm like, my first question was going to be like, was that really a woman? But when you said my wife, I was just like, okay, obviously not, because a woman would never do that.
Paula, every time
How can a man not know that there is a poop imminent in his butt?
I know.
Are guys just dead down there? Do they not know?
My thought is this. For most men, not all men, but for most men, they can poop whenever they want to. I really believe that if a man decides he wants to take a dump, he could just decide to go take a dump. Women aren't like that.
This man could poop when he didn't want to. And I just find that problematic because
they have a pebble in the chamber at all times, is my point.
That was not a pebble.
I know. It was a spray, which, I mean, maybe it was ill.
I saw this. I follow a bunch of like medical things on Instagram. There was this person. They were so ill. They were laying sideways on this like gurney. I don't even know if they were conscious. And they were just literally profusely shitting out of their asshole all over the floor.
Ew.
And involuntarily. It was just like pumping out like a untamed oil spout. And
right.
I was just like, my God, I'm like, that's like the lowest of lows, you know,
Yes.
to just not be able to contain the fact that you're just shitting and it was just kept coming out. And I'm like, how much do you have? Like, I thought he was probably dead or dying. I don't know, but I just don't understand how men can fart on command, burp on command, have to poop every day. And how are they so relaxed?
I don't
do
know,
all that
but they
stuff?
can do it. It's so, okay. So interestingly that you say that, because the second story is a woman's story. And here's the difference. Glaring difference. This is a husband's retelling this story because, you know, men are obsessed. She was working at a job 20 minutes from home. Pressure had been building all day, but she had a thing about pooping anywhere but the house. So she decided to wait until she got home. By the time her day was ending, things had reached nuclear proportions. Cold sweats, cramps, chills. Merely walking was now so precarious as to require strategy and planning. She wasted no time clocking out. She made it awkwardly and carefully to her car, got on the freeway, sped, and began pleading to God and anybody else that she could think of to make it home clean.
No, you have to
Of
stop.
course, the pressure became so overwhelming, she compared it to labor pain. Physically and emotionally, she needed relief. She said she remembered consciously making the awful decision to shit her own pants. She said to herself aloud in the car, "I'm going to shit my pants." And then she did it. And then she cried the rest of the way home.
How could you?
That is the difference between a man and a woman. Right there. He's like, I didn't even know I was going to shit. And she's just like, it's been this long, torturous time. And she's like, out loud. All I could envision was this woman in her little Hyundai going, I'm going to shit my pants now. And then does it and started crying.
I would literally have to find like a sweatshirt or something. I would park my car on a street, find a house or like a court where it looks like there's no one.
Yes.
And I would hose myself off, wrap the sweatshirt around my waist, leave the car, like peel off the tags or whatever, scratch out the VIN number.
And walk away.
And then call an Uber and just never go back to the car again. Like, I would literally just abandon my car and buy a new one. Don't you think?
Well, it would be difficult for me to get back in it. That's for sure.
I mean, who's going to clean that?
Well,
how do you explain that? What, are you going to go home and tell Daryl, like, I really shit in my car today?
Oh, my God. And she started crying, and that would be me. I would start crying afterwards. I'd be like, this is the worst day of my life.
I would much rather say my car got stolen or I was carjacked.
Yes, than have to deal with that.
And then Victor would be like, so why do you have a sweatshirt wrapped around your waist? And
it was an ugly situation.
And you are naked. I'd be like, they tried to attack me, but I ran.
Oh, my God.
And then he'll be like, do you smell poop? No.
Nope. What?
I don't.
No.
I smell nothing.
And we'll never speak of it again. I'll be right back. I'm showering.
Yeah, I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Here's the thing. I have very shy bowels. You and I both know that when I go on vacation, the idea of having to go to the bathroom with my family in earshot is I'd rather die. Like, I can't, I really struggle with it. I'm not even jealous of those who can, actually. The whole idea is so repellent to me. I can't take it. It's horrible.
I am not opposed to just throwing things away. Like,
yeah,
if in the refrigerator, if I'm cleaning out the fridge and there's a Tupperware that just looks, I don't know, undesirable, and I'm like, I'm not cleaning this. I'll just throw it away. I just throw it away. I don't force myself to clean things like that. I can't tell you how many litter boxes I've covered and just tossed in the garbage. The big dumpster.
So
and
what's the difference?
Victor will come home and he'll be like, "Oh, we got a new litter box." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What happened to the old one?" I'm like, "I threw it away." He's like, "Why?" It was just too dirty. I didn't want to clean it.
Well,
like, you have to stop doing that.
So what's the difference if you end up using your car as a litter box? Of course you'd throw it away and get a new one.
So that's what I'm saying is like I don't force. I've thrown away clothes that like if I had like a period stain on it, they're like, "Well, if you take it to a cleaner and you make a note," I'm like, too hard. I'm just throwing it away. That skirt was $16. I'm not gonna.
It's not worth the $25.
I'm not going to go drive to a cleaner, have them put a little safety pin on it with a note and spend $20 trying to clean a $16 skirt. Fuck it.
Absolutely
I'm just
not.
not doing it.
Not happening. Yeah. So, but that is the glaring difference between men and women. He doesn't even know he's got to poop, and she's just been methodically planning her exit strategy since it began. And she put herself through so much effort and then ultimately failed and was so disappointed in herself that she wept. I mean, that's the difference.
If I have to do something disgusting, I go to a disgusting place. I will go to a gas station bathroom.
Well, that explains your relationship with Motel 6 in your 20s.
No, that's complete. That was taboo, filthy sex.
Yes, exactly.
But that has nothing to do with diarrhea. But I'm just saying, like, if I'm going to go be gross, I'm going to a gross place. And so I would not attempt to drive home. It just,
oh God, no.
Even I know that miracles don't exist. And so
you're not, there's only so much control one can have over natural urges.
It's just like when you have to pee so bad and you get in front of the toilet, especially after having children, you're not going to make it.
I have ruined so many underwear thinking I can make it and then standing in front of the toilet and it's just not going to happen.
And I've thrown those underwear away. Absolutely. I threw away a pair of underwear the other day. I'm like, these are just beyond. Like, they're my period underwear, but I'm like, these are more than period underwear now. Now they just look like
an experiment.
They just look bad. They look like they've been worn by a dog. And so I just, no. I'm like, I would be embarrassed, even if they were period underwear. I'd be embarrassed if someone would be like, those are your period underwear? I'm like, I know, they're gross.
So, yeah. But my point in the pooping at home only thing, that doesn't even save me because if Daryl's here, I'm like, I have to strategize. It can't be when he's up here. I remember the other day, I actually got mad at him because I felt like I had to go to the bathroom and he was still in bed and because it was like a Saturday.
Why don't you use the one downstairs?
Because Tyler was showering. And so I was sitting in there.
You couldn't use the girls' bathroom? You have fucking 3 bathrooms, Jamie.
I started to sweat and I'm like, okay.
Wait, do you sweat when you have to poop?
Well, because I was getting anxious. And so Daryl's still like, hoo, hoo, hoo. And he, because he doesn't care.
Daryl's like, hoo, hoo, hoo.
So finally, with his absolute no knowledge of what's going on in my body or my brain, I get up and I go, well, since you're just going to continue to lay here, I have to go to the bathroom. And so I go and I slam the door, turn on the water because it's like, now I'm resentful that I've got to do this because I cannot hold it any longer. So I go to the bathroom and I come out and he's gone. And I'm like, fine, God, finally. And I can hear him going, you could have just said something. And I'm just like, I don't operate like that.
That's why you're downstairs.
I don't do that. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If I disappear from a room for 10 seconds, I'm just like, hey, where's mom? Where'd mom go? Like, and it's not even that they need something. They just need to know my whereabouts.
Yes.
Because I think they just want to know where I am in the event they might need me.
Right.
And so, Mom, what are you doing? Are you in there? Yeah, yes, I'm in here. Oh, okay. Well, what are you doing? Olivia, what do people normally do in a bathroom? Oh, okay. Well, I just was checking. I didn't see you.
God.
Thank you.
Enough.
I'm all right. Just using the bathroom. Like, well, I was trying to. Now it'll probably be another day, maybe, before I can go again because you've scared it back up, probably into the small intestine.
I've done that to myself. I've done it where I'm like, I waited too long and now here we are.
That's why I have to wait. I actually have to wait that long because if I try and go sooner than that, I can't.
Yeah. Well, remember when I just had to fart before they would let me go home after my hospitalization.
Remember I told Daryl to go home?
I couldn't do it. And I was trying so hard. I'm like, okay, this is a medical situation. This is not at home where I accidentally do it. It's like I'm required. I haven't eaten anything, so it's just going to be air. It's no big deal. And I could not do it. Hours, like 10 hours. And finally, you're like, Daryl, I think you need to leave.
I said, why don't you go home and check on the kids' stuff? He's like, no, they're fine. I'm like, Daryl, I'm going to go home. She's not going to be able to fart if you're here. And he's like, oh, really? I'm like, just go. And then, like, what was it, a half an hour?
Barely 20 minutes. I did it, and I got up, and I ran to the nurse's station with my little IV bag. I said, I did it. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I farted. And they're just like, oh, okay, we'll note it. I'm like, you don't even know. And I hobble back. God, I was so mad. I'm like, this is a big deal.
Yeah, right.
This is a big deal for me to tell others. Jesus.
Oh my God, that was so funny. I knew, like, after a while, I'm just like, you know what? I'm like, she can't fart with him here. That's exactly what it is. He's too attentive. She's just, it's scared to come out. It won't.
Like, there's not one nerve in my body that was saying, go ahead, do it. It's never going to happen.
Because even if he left for coffee or, he's coming back. So, like that pivotal moment, he'll walk in and you'll be like, ah! And it's just like, he'll just sneak back up.
I just can't. Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, I'd still be there probably if it wasn't for you to send him away. So crazy. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all I have.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.